Hi, my name is Logan. I'm 36 years old and I work as a personal trainer at a fitness club. I've been married for 10 years to a wonderful woman named Emma, and we have two amazing children, a son, Jaden, and a daughter, Sophie. Emma works as a nurse at a local hospital, and recently she was transferred to night shifts. This has become a real test for our family, as I had to cope with both work and children on my own. But we were very lucky that Emma's mother, my mother-in-law Carol, lives very close by. Having learned about our situation, she volunteered to come over almost every evening to look after her grandchildren and help around the house while Emma is on duty. At first I felt a bit awkward that I, a grown man, couldn't handle my own children without the help of my mother-in-law. But Carol quickly dispelled my embarrassment with her cheerful disposition and easygoing nature. There was always something to talk about and laugh about with her. And oh, what delicious dinners she cooked. Finger-licking good. Gradually, I got used to it and even started looking forward to her visits. We often sat up late in the kitchen, chatting about various little things while the children slept. Emma and I now only managed to see each other in snatches. She would come home tired from the night shift, and by that time I was already getting ready to go to work at the gym. But I was at ease, knowing that Carol would take care of the children no worse than their own mother. And so our life flowed in a new direction. Work during the day, family chores and friendly gatherings with my mother-in-law in the evening. I couldn't imagine then where this growing closeness would lead us. Days flew by, and our communication with Carol became more and more relaxed and warm. Coming home in the evening, I knew that not only a hearty dinner would be waiting for me, but also pleasant company for heart-to-heart conversations. We could sit in the kitchen for hours, discussing everything in the world, from curious cases from my coaching practice to her memories of a turbulent youth. When the children fell asleep, we often settled in the living room and watched a movie or a series together. At such moments, it seemed that Carol and I were not a son-in-law and a mother-in-law, but old friends. I don't know how it happened, but at some point I began to catch myself thinking that my mother-in-law was a damn attractive woman. Yes, she's already 55, but you'd hardly give her 40. A slim-toned figure that many girls from my fitness club would envy. Radiant blue eyes and a charming smile that warms you like the summer sun. When she laughed at my jokes or inadvertently touched my hand in conversation, everything inside me turned upside down and a strange heat spread through me. I cursed myself with the worst words, drove these unsolicited thoughts away from me. My God, what am I even thinking about? This is my wife's mother. But the insidious attraction stubbornly refused to give up its positions. Sometimes I even fancied that I noticed a reflection of the same forbidden fire in Carol's eyes. But no, unlikely. Most likely I was just imagining it. Days went by. Our evenings became more and more soulful, and the desire became more and more unbearable. I felt like the last scoundrel, because in my soul I still loved Emma. But Carol also attracted me like a magnet. This duality tore me apart, gave me no peace day or night. How wrong, how shameful it is. I must stop communicating with my mother-in-law so closely before it's too late. Friday evening was no different from many previous ones. The children slept peacefully in their beds. Carol and I settled in the kitchen and sipped red wine, leisurely discussing a recently watched movie. The conversation smoothly turned to the topic of love, relationships, and then Carol suddenly blurted out that I was the ideal man that any woman dreams of. At these words, her eyes feverishly sparkled, and her cheeks flushed with a charming blush, either from the wine or from embarrassment. I looked at Carol, so desirable, and realized that I could no longer resist. Everything suddenly became unimportant. The arguments of reason, marital duty, morality, decency. The world narrowed down to the one and only woman opposite, whose every cell was literally screaming with irresistible desire, and I read absolutely the same thing in her darkened eyes. I remember what followed in snatches, as if in a delirious dream. A small kitchen flooded with the soft light of a nightlight, the madness of passion sweeping everything in its path, the heat of embraces, the sweetness of forbidden union. Reality ceased to exist, leaving only our bodies and souls intertwined in a fit of unrestrained desire. And then, a sobering wave of shame and guilt that washed over me immediately after the finale. Oh God, what have we done? How could I so vilely betray Emma, trample on all vows and promises. Judging by her lost look, Carol was experiencing about the same feelings. We awkwardly and hastily dressed and parted, unable to look each other in the eye. At breakfast in the morning, my mother-in-law and I avoided not only glances, but also any conversations. It seemed that yesterday's madness hung between us like a heavy burden of shared guilt. I flinched at every sound, at every rustle, as if Emma was about to appear on the doorstep and start accusing me of betrayal. How can I look her in the eyes now after everything that happened? The next couple of weeks became a real torture for me. I was torn between two extremes, ardent desire and agonizing pangs of conscience. The image of Carol, passionate and vicious, haunted me day and night, stirred my blood, deprived me of sleep and peace. But then a wave of remorse would roll over me. How could I sink so low, betray the closest person, destroy the family for the sake of lust? At work, I couldn't concentrate, mechanically worked out exercises with clients, and in my head, I replayed the details of that ill-fated night for the 100th time. I tried my best to avoid being alone with Carol. I tried to spend more time with the children, took on any work around the house, just not to think, not to remember. I even slept in the coach's office a couple of times under the pretext of drawing up programs for particularly important clients. In those rare moments when I managed to see Emma, I was overwhelmed by a wave of self-loathing. I looked into her tired but so loving eyes and felt like the last bastard. I wanted to fall on my knees in front of her, begging for forgiveness for all my sins. But the fear of losing her, of destroying our family, gripped my throat with an iron grip. What if Carol blabs in a fit of belated remorse, or God forbid, Emma suspects something because of my unusually nervous behavior? These thoughts made me break out in a cold sweat. Maybe I should confess everything myself while it's not too late. Fall at her feet, beg for forgiveness, promise that it will never happen again? No, I can't. It's too embarrassing, too scary to lose her forever. And I decided to just pretend that nothing happened. I immersed myself in work, in household chores, in raising children, if only to drown out the incessant pangs of conscience, if only to forget the terrible mistake that could cost me everything. So, dear listeners, here is my sad story. I don't know why I decided to share it with the world. Maybe because I can no longer bear this cross alone. It's been almost 3 months since that ill-fated night, but the feeling of guilt doesn't let go for a moment. Yes, now I avoid any communication with Carol in every possible way. We hardly see each other. My life seems to have returned to its usual course. I work a lot, take care of the children, try to devote every free minute to Emma. But the burden of what I've done still weighs heavily on my shoulders. Now, from the height of the weeks I've lived through, I understand that the connection with Carol was a horrible, unforgivable mistake. A momentary weakness, giving into which I put at stake everything most dear and important. My wife's love, my children's well-being, my self-respect. Yes, my mother-in-law is attractive and seductive, but is lust worth the destroyed family happiness? How could I prefer one night of intoxicating passion to years of love and trust? Every time I look into Emma's eyes, I see devotion and tenderness in them. And I realize that I do not deserve these feelings, that behind the mask of an exemplary husband hides a vile traitor and deceiver. How to live on with this unbearable burden on my heart? Should I tell my wife the terrible truth, or is it better to bury the shameful secret in the depths of my tormented soul? I'm at a complete loss. Dear friends, if any of you have found yourself in a similar situation or can give some good advice, I would be very grateful. Is it possible to atone for such a grave sin? Will Emma be able to forgive me if one day I dare to have a frank conversation? Will we be able to start from scratch and become one happy family again? So far, I don't know the answers to these questions, but I have firmly learned the main lesson. There is nothing more important than love, trust, and loyalty, and even the greatest temptation is not worth the destroyed happiness with those who are dearer to you than life. I will try my best to atone for my guilt and heal the wounds that I myself inflicted on our marriage, whatever it costs me. That's probably all for now. Thank you for your attention and understanding, dear listeners. Don't rush to condemn me, no matter how much of a scoundrel I may seem. I'm just a weak, lost person, yearning for atonement and forgiveness. Take care of your loved ones and don't repeat my mistakes. This was Logan Matthews, and this is my story for the YouTube channel Storytelling Podcast. Did you like this story? Let us know in the comments what you liked. Subscribe to our Storytelling Podcast. Also, don't forget to like and ring the bell so you don't miss more interesting stories. See you soon.